I'm Kim Eddleston with FamilyBusiness.org, and today I'm with Elizabeth Bagger, who is the founder of Avanti Family Business Advisory and is passionate about serving and supporting family-owned businesses. She has been involved with family businesses, including her own, for the past 25 years. Thank you for being with me, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
And there's so many topics Elizabeth can talk about, and hopefully we'll have her back again. But today, she's going to focus on intergenerational collaboration. So why do so many family businesses have problems in fostering collaboration between the generations?
I think it's because we don't realize how different we are as people sometimes. We're just exposed to different things as, new generations come through, and that creates change in and of itself. But also people are different. I've seen families where, they wanted to talk, they wanted to collaborate, but they first had to really deeply understand each other and understand their different perspectives.
Why does intergenerational collaboration even matter for a family business?
I think it's one of those superpowers of the family business, because when you can involve several generations, you're going to get the perspective of people who've been in business for generations, and you're going to get a perspective from young people who are out there in the world seeing what's emerging in a completely different way to older generations who may be more set in their ways. So if you can combine the experience and the newness and the excitement and the curiosity of young people, I think, a family business can become unstoppable.
It sounds obviously incredibly important to fostering the family relationships. It sounds like it's also important to keeping the family business alive. But what are some of the common challenges you've seen? Like, what tends to get in the way?
Two things I think always get in the way, and that is when we make assumptions about other people that we don't verify. And then we have expectations of other people that we don't communicate. We have expectations of what our parents should do or what our children should do. And we make assumptions about why they do what they do without checking. And that can lead to a lot of people being disappointed in each other, a lot of people getting upset with each other. And I think that's really what gets in the way. So if we can really sit down and have those deeper conversations, then we can start to unpick some of those things and get to know the real person.
Do you have any stories or examples of families you've worked with where they were able to identify these issues and how they moved forward?
Yeah, sure. So I've worked with a number of people, but things had happened that had made everybody react. So, a transition that hadn't gone to the plan, and everybody was making assumptions, especially about those to whom, the torch was passed. And they never really got to express how they felt about the situation, nor did anybody else. And once they started to really just sit down and share their own perspectives with each other, it really started to heal something that had been unhealed for a long time. So we did things like, write postcards to yourself from the future. Where are you 5 years from now? Where are you 10 years from now? And then write back to yourself in the here and the now and share that with the family. And suddenly everybody started to see that everyone else has good intentions. Everybody else really wants this to work. And then from there, they were able to go into, okay, so what do we want to create together? Now that I no longer hold a grudge, or I no longer think that you want this because you're just greedy or whatever it is.
Given our discussion, it seems that the intergenerational collaboration really takes two sides. So I'd love your advice on each of the generations. So what would be your advice for the older generation?
Be willing to go first. Be willing to start the dialogue. Doesn't always have to happen that way, of course, but that would be my advice. And to get really curious about what the world looks like to your younger generations. We may be talking children, but also grandchildren. And so just ask questions, immerse yourself in their world. You will learn tons.
Oh, that's great advice. Now, what about the younger generation? What can they do to maybe foster intergenerational collaboration?
In a funny way, I would say the same to them. Don't be afraid to go first if nobody's opening the door or nobody's extending the invitation. They may simply not have thought of it. So don't be afraid to ask, and don't be put off if it doesn't work the first time. Have a little bit of patience with the older generations. They might need more than one nudge or more than one invitation, and also to honor what has been created before you came along. But then also share your perspective, share your heart, share your aspirations as a human being.
So I teach a class for next generation members at Northeastern University, and a lot of them often express that the older generation won't listen to them. They don't want their input, their ideas. So and then of course, the scare is always that if the older generation doesn't listen to them, they'll go elsewhere for a job. You might lose the whole, family and the succession. So for those next gens who are really trying to change and get the older generation to listen, what's your advice?
So two things that can work quite well is to say, okay, so I may not be able to have the conversation that I'm really keen to have right now, but what conversation can I have? So maybe I'm not going to be able to talk about a job in the business today, but could I talk about our values as a family? Or could I ask some questions about why did you get involved, granddad, or whomever it may be? And the second one is talk to your peers, get their ideas. How have they approached it? What are they doing? Could you share that with your family? You may also find that when you talk to your peers, they have the same struggles as you do, of course. And then you have them as a sounding board, which is equally important as you travel through your family business journey.
So last pieces of advice for helping with intergenerational collaboration.
Set time aside for it. It is so worth it. And your business will benefit from it. It isn't just a family thing. It has a massive impact on the business. So everyone in the family benefits. And you just don't know what greatness that you're going to discover when you do.
There's a little bit of, I'm going to say, a debate on when you should get the next generation involved. And, some people think right away, let them learn about the business, talk about it, be open. And then there's this other school, if you will, that is very much about don't bring work home with you, don't talk about the family business at dinner, and let them choose their own path. And of course, some of the criticism of that one is, well, what if they never learn about the family business? So what are your thoughts on that and the, giving room for the children to seek their own path, but then also creating this possible collaboration?
It's definitely important to have healthy boundaries around the family business, because kids may not appreciate the business being discussed over dinner every night. Plan it, structure it, and say, we're going to have a business day today. We're going to, well, depending on what the business does, of course, but let's go and bake something if it's baked goods. Let's go and see how something works if it's a manufacturing site, or let's go and visit a building if you're in construction. Do it in a structured way. Set time aside specifically for that, so that you can have real family time when you're together as a family outside of the business.
Oh, that's good advice. And I bet by doing it in a planned manner, like you suggest, hopefully gives a chance to have some of these conversations with the children. What do you think? And to collaborate and communicate with one another.
And it doesn't have to become a lot of pressure for the next generation. It's just fun to learn. And then later on, you can start to introduce other topics. But just a gentle introduction to start with can make a big difference.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being with me today. Again, this was Kim Eddleston with familybusiness.org and Elizabeth Bagger, who's the founder of Avanti Family Business Advisory. Thank you.